How can I not start with topic number one without this man right here, Shohei Ohtani? Listen, this guy has been crushing it ever since he hit Major League Baseball. He's been capturing the eyes of baseball fans everywhere. Everyone's been super impressed. No one has doubted his ability. No one has doubted what he is capable of. He's a pitcher with amazing ability. He's a hitter with amazing ability. Last night, Shohei Ohtani had in a game where he pitched in this game, 2 home runs as a batter and 10 strikeouts as a pitcher. Let me repeat that one more time. 2 home runs as a batter. Not he was pitching and people hit 2 home runs off him. He hit 2 home runs in one game as a batter, the same game that he was a pitcher in and had 10 strikeouts in. What? This is one of the craziest things you will ever see. He is unbelievable. There's no doubt about it. Shohei Ohtani is absolutely unbelievable. He's crushing it from a perspective of just a baseball player. It's unbelievable to see the things that he's doing. There are things that like literally you would think were impossible. Like you would bet anything on this, right? If someone said, "Hey man, I will bet you right now Shohei Ohtani's gonna hit 2 home runs and strike out 10 batters in this game," anybody pretty much would take that bet at any price line and just run with it because it's unbelievable the stat line we're talking about. It doesn't just end there either. There's tons of tweets and stuff that I want to show you just to kind of bring a little bit of I don't want to say attention, but just bring makes it a little more clear on exactly what we're talking about, right? So the first one here is, and this is just nuts to me, but it is crazy to believe that the Angels, Shohei Ohtani, this is from OptaStats, in June has 13 home runs batting, 37 strikeouts pitching. He's the first player in MLB history to hit 10 home runs and strike out 35 batters in a month. Only one player has had 10 home runs in a month and 35 strikeouts in a month at a point, any point in their career. And that was Babe Ruth, which, feel how you want to feel about him, feel how you want to feel about, you know, the legitimacy and whether he compares to modern day players. He doesn't, but just if you wanted to do that, if that's your reference point, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable about it, but Shohei Ohtani has done it not only in his career, not only in a season, but in the same month. 13 home runs batting, 37 Ks pitching. Just insane, just insane. When you're the first player in sports history of that sport that you're in to do something, it's typically, something crazy, right? Something, sometimes they make these stats up and you're like, that's not really that serious. Like you see that all the time. Like these sites will purposely, look for something that just is kind of outlandish when you think about it. Like, yeah, why would anybody have done that before? Or maybe it wasn't something that was possible, in prior, seasons or years of the sport. But in this case, this is a legitimate stat. This isn't like some kind of, fishing for a headline, fishing for a, just, it's not clickbait. This is a legitimate stat. 10 plus home run, 10 home runs and 35 strikeouts. It's just, those are kind of standard stats that somebody would look at. They're not, something crazy like hit, Randy Johnson's the only pitcher to kill a bird while pitching a ball. Like, yeah, that's not really likely to happen ever again. That was just a random fluke thing, or just some random weird stats that always pop up. This isn't one of them. This is a very legitimate one. I just think it's incredible. And again, the whole Babe Ruth thing, take that for what you will in terms of comparing it to somebody. Again, I know everybody has their feelings on Babe Ruth and what he's done. Another one here that I wanted to share. Let's not forget the fact that he is a free agent next season. This is the biggest deal of all, right? He's playing this year with the Angels, $30 million base salary, crazy amount. And just to think that that's still not enough for Shohei Ohtani and what he deserves in reality. So when we think about, Shohei Ohtani next season, there's going to be a crazy bidding war for this guy. Everyone's going to want him. Will he re-sign with the Angels? I just don't feel like that he will. I feel like he's going to chase even bigger things. Will that be New York? The Mets are obviously throwing around money like it's going out of style. The Mets are the most logical destination in terms of, you got to think about it, right? They are suffering right now. They spent a ton of money. They're not playing well with the money they spent. They spent the most money in baseball, and it's not looking good. They got two of their best pitchers are older guys, right? Respectively, like 40 years old each. this is the kind of player that they're going to need to A, pump up the fan base, make them feel good about it. B, take their team to new levels. Can you imagine Shohei Ohtani in New York? Like, it's just good for him. It's good for the team. But again, this is going to be a bidding war. It's going to get crazy. The numbers are going to get crazy if you look at, what he deserves. And it's interesting because this is a guy who legitimately deserves like a pitcher contract and a hitter contract. You can't just say give Shohei the most money as a pitcher because he's not just a pitcher; he's much more than a pitcher. We're talking about the guy who is crushing it in all these different in all these different lanes, like just doing all these incredible things. So how do you just give him a pitcher salary? How do you say, hey, you're the highest paid pitcher in baseball now? You should be, happy with that. That doesn't seem like a fair way to, go about the contract negotiations with him. And it's obviously, I don't think that's going to work. So this is a very interesting, situation in terms of how you offer this contract, what it looks like, how it breaks down. It's just going to be a very unique situation. And I think the Mets are probably the prime team to do that. The Yankees will obviously be in the mix. You have to assume the Angels will be in the mix again. There's just gonna be a bunch of teams in the mix. Also, here you got Shohei Ohtani is a starting pitcher and MLB home run leader, right? Like this guy is just crushing it. Like literally leads the league in home runs. Go right now, bring up your MLB stats, look up home run leaders, and it is this guy, a pitcher, a pitcher. He's not a pitcher. You can't just call him a pitcher at this point. It's just he's beyond that. And the question then, you have to ask yourself after the fact that we're talking about a guy who is, pitching and doing this is he the greatest, is he the greatest baseball player right now? There's gonna be people who argue that. Is he the greatest athlete of, of right now? Like how do you really categorize what he's doing? And it's hard to explain. I know a lot of people are like either, baseball is in this weird place, and I've talked about it here on the show before where it's not as popular in terms of I feel like with the youth and pop culture and all these things. For some reason it doesn't always get the attention it deserves, right? Like these guys, some of these guys should be superstar, as big as the LeBron Jameses, right? As big as the Tom Brady's, as big as these guys. And I feel like, at least in my circle and the people I speak with on the internet that I'm in, the Twitter world that I'm in, it's not as talked about. Maybe I'm in the wrong circles, that's possible. But at the end of the day, like a guy like this should be getting way more love, like just at the end of the day. And the comparison to what he's able to do is just incredible. And for those who, I got this another great tweet here. Let's just pull this up. The Shohei Ohtani stuff is getting insane. Think about how crazy it is. It's not like an NBA player being great at offense and defense. Hitting and pitching are basically two entirely unique skill sets. It's more like being a top 5 basketball player and a top 10 golfer in the world. This is a great tweet for NBA University. Uh, just again, makes all the sense in the world. Like we're talking about a player who is doing two different skill sets of things. So and what the point of that tweet is like, you may say, well, oh, someone like LeBron James, he's good on offense and good on defense. That's not what this is because it's just that's basketball. It requires the same kind of skill set, running, jumping, blocking, shooting. They're all kind of, within the same vein. But with baseball, pitching and hitting are two totally different abilities, right? Like they're not in the same lane. Some guys, no one really does what he's doing in terms of, being this great pitcher, but at the same time being a great hitter, because usually you focus your whole life on being a great pitcher. So you're not really caring about hitting, which is why a lot of times, pitchers just suck at hitting. This is why there's a DH. This is why all these things exist. And then if you're a really good hitter and a really good fielder, you're not typically a pitcher just because you've been focusing on hitting your whole life. And fielding is just kind of the thing you do to stay on the field. So this is what makes it so unique. What makes Shohei Ohtani so unique? What means this guy is going to get paid, which this guy should be the face of Major League Baseball for everybody. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good baseball players out right now. There's a lot of great young players, the Ronald Acuna Juniors, all these guys. There's a lot of really, really fun players to watch. So it's not just him. It's not like he is the only guy in Major League Baseball or, the only face or the only guy that, should be attracting new fans. That's not what I mean by any stretch of the imagination. It's just clear that this guy is doing things that are special. And you have to highlight special people when they do special things. You just have to. You can't sweep it under the rug. You can't downplay it. You can't. There's no way Major League Baseball can give Shohei Ohtani more attention than he deserves. There's just no way. Like there's nothing they can do where they're like, are we doing a little too much? Are we giving a little too much credit? Are we giving a little too much attention and light? Are we focusing? You can't do enough to focus on Shohei Ohtani MLB. You have to do it. You have to do more and more and more. Get these stats out there. Get these, you know, record breaking things that he's doing out there. Show how amazing he is. Show how great he is. You know, you have to. This kid is amazing, and Major League Baseball needs to talk about it and make it as clear as they can possibly make it. And of course, highlight all the other great players who are doing amazing stuff. But Shohei Ohtani again is doing really, really special stuff. And I hope, as a Mets fan, I do hope he goes to the Mets. It'll be legendary. But obviously, I can't, look at this with Mets colored glasses and just, see it how I want to see it as a hopeful fan. He can go a bunch of different places. There's any money thrown at this guy, man. And he deserves every single dollar. Sometimes you see players' contracts, and you're like, they really deserve that. He deserves every penny he's going to get. No question about it. If he does go to somewhere like New York, it'll be absolutely electric, absolutely fire. Because on the Angels, it's kind of, you know, it's fantastic, man. He's amazing. So that is it. Yeah, there's no other way to start the show, right, guys? I mean, in the comments, let me know if there was any other headline that should have led this show than Shohei Ohtani today. Just let me know. Put it in the comments. If you think there was anything more important, more interested, more fantastic than Shohei Ohtani and what he's doing right now in Major League Baseball, drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear it. But let's get on to number two, which if you are complaining about the Shohei Ohtani, if you're complaining about the topic, you may be interested in topic number two. Let's get to it.